Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Light back with another YouTube video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a bit of a Let's Talk video here. And it's going to be, let's talk about Daredevil. Now, when I'm saying that, I mean the character, not the TV show. I mean, if you guys want to hear me speak about the TV show, definitely leave a comment down below if you want me to do that. I've seen it and everything, so yeah. Though I'll probably talk a little bit about it in this Let's Talk, but I mean, this is going to be solely based on the character and just reflecting on the character over these years and everything. So yeah. So yeah, let's get into this. So yeah, Daredevil, definitely personally one of my favorite Marvel heroes slash of all heroes at the same time. I think he's really cool. He easily notches in my top 25 easy, or top 15. And you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, that's not too big. But at the same time, you gotta remember there's hundreds of superheroes you could think of, so hundreds of characters, villains, and everything. Maybe actually maybe over 1,000. I don't know the exact number, but I know there's a lot. So to be in top 25 is definitely an interesting thing, especially for this character. So yeah, again, Daredevil is personally one of my favorites. I really enjoy him a lot. I enjoy basically everything about him, ranging from TV shows or TV show and the comics and everything, really good. And also some of his other adaptations and everything looks pretty cool. So yeah, quickly I want to just bring up some of the historical facts, I guess, of like when he made his first appearance, like what was it, and exactly how he acted when he was uh, originally created slash he actually went through like a bit of a reconstructive period, I guess you would say it. Uh, yeah, so quickly, let's cover the first appearance. So the first appearance of Daredevil was in Daredevil #1 in April of 1964. He was actually created by Stan Lee, and the art was done by Bill Everett. So, yeah, that's a note. Originally, he actually had yellow in his suit, which was actually pretty interesting. It wasn't until I believe it was like the early 80s where he decided to make the more like comic-ish appearance of like how we kind of know him now, like he's more darker and everything. Like originally, I'm gonna be straight up honest with everybody. Originally he kind of sucked. I can't even lie. He kind of sucked a little bit, but then he got reinvented a little bit to this all red, darker persona, and he just was way better now, and I do thankfully that's really good. One personal writer slash I think he did some of the art too. Uh, was Frank Miller. I personally think he did really reinvented the character. It was partially him who really reinvented the character and everything. And I definitely think he was really good at doing it and everything. Uh, so that being said, like there's definitely some other really good Daredevil writers and everything. Personally, right now I'm reading the the Chip Zdarsky Daredevil run, which I'm actually waiting for new issues right now. But I've read pretty much all of it to the point of it being out and everything. So I've read all of them to the point now, as early as September. It's supposed to be concluding, I think, in November. So it's still got a little bit left, so I can't give a full review yet. I'll definitely talk about it once I finish reading all of it. But again, that's another run, really good. I really recommend that. Uh, there's a different comic series called like Daredevil Born Again. That's another good one. Of course, the Daredevil Man Without Fear, which is like the Frank Miller run on it. So that was interesting. Uh, Yeah, but that's basically it talking about the comics and stuff. I don't want to dwell too much on it. I mean, as much as I do like the comics and everything, there's a lot of things you could talk about with this Daredevil character and everything. So, yeah, I immediately forgot to even say this, but basically, I forgot to just talk about the character and who he is. So basically, the easiest way to put it is basically his real name is Matt Murdock, and basically when he was a child, he was blinded by radioactive chemicals that gave him superpowers, basically, which is like enhanced senses essentially, except for his eyes, because of course he's blind now. Uh, and he was trained by a man named Stick in the ways like martial arts and like just how to use his powers, not necessarily his powers, but I mean, uh, like his senses and everything to become Daredevil. He ends up becoming a lawyer, and yeah, he basically is a lawyer. He's known as like the kind of like the lawyer of the Marvel universe, other than She-Hulk, of course. So yeah, so that was interesting to note. An interesting thing to note as well. Another thing too is like within this character, honestly, Catholics like I can know. I notice. I know. It's kind of touchy subject to go on like religions and stuff like that. But I mean, whatever you believe in is whatever you believe in. But yeah, basically his character is kind of embedded within like Catholic. Like he's very like an outspoken Catholic in the comics, if you understand what I mean. Like so, most of his comics have like some sort of like Catholic priest in it and stuff like that. Because he is Irish, he's known as like one of the most recognizable Irish superheroes. So Irish Catholic, I guess you would say. Uh, so that's interesting as it gives a little bit of representation to a few different groups in terms of Daredevil being a big representation for Irish people slash Catholics, and then or technically those are two different subjects there, but Irish Catholic, blind people, so that's interesting, and I guess maybe Loras if you really think about it too. So that's interesting. Uh, as you could, a lot of people probably can are able to relate to Daredevil in different reasons, which is pretty interesting. Uh, yeah. So yeah. Quickly, if you want to know his powers, basically, again, he's got enhanced senses. He's able to fight really, really good. He's also trained his hearing into knowing specific things. For example, he can hear like heartbeats, basically to, like tell when you're lying or something like that. Basically, if you're dead or whatnot. Even where you are, he's basically able to like kind of picture it in his mind of where everyone is. Like he can hear the slightest of sounds, he could smell the slightest of chemicals and everything. So that's one thing I found really interesting about Daredevil. Uh, yeah, again, so that was pretty interesting of him. Again, like he's one of the more darker characters in Marvel Universe. But the thing I like a lot about him is I know a lot of people, some people definitely do compare him a little bit to Batman, and I understand the similarities in the sense, just because they're kind of more darker set characters and everything, and they basically just brutally beat up bad guys and everything. But at the same time, you kind of get a difference from Daredevil, just in the sense that most of the time he's conflicted with the whether it was a good idea to kill and stuff like that, because he's actually killed a few times, and usually he kind of like reflects on that, for example. So that's something I actually like. That's something I actually like from the Chip Zdarsky run currently, is like he ends up accidentally like killing somebody, and then he ends up basically like getting conflicted and everything, and eventually he like turns himself into the police and stuff like that. Well, for the most part, he tries not to kill and stuff like that. That's just personally one of my favorite themes of him, of Daredevil. That's probably one of my reasons why he's one of my personal favorites. Just in the sense that like he has that kind of story and stuff like that, which is always making me intrigued and stuff like that. But yeah, let's talk about some other versions of him in media. So currently, right now, he's had a movie which he was played by Ben Affleck. Personally, I don't remember too much of that. So I'm not gonna really talk about it. I can't remember. The general consensus is a lot of people are in the middle. I don't really hear about it being too terrible or anything like that. So I know it's not too terrible, but I don't hear anything about it being good or anything. So that's one thing as well. So I'm not too sure exactly how the reception is. But yeah, enough about that. The next thing too is the widely known TV series. Now, a lot of people like this series, myself included. I think it's a very, very good series. Even if you're not a Daredevil fan, this series is really good. Just it really enjoyable and everything. I do like it a lot. I've even spoken with a few people who actually like this show, even though they don't really like comic books and stuff like that. And that's pretty interesting as well to see that kind of influx of people that don't like comic books and all that and superheroes, but they ended up actually liking the show just being a good TV show, which is really interesting. Uh, So again, I think we got some very. It's one of personally my favorite. Like, I think this show is very comic accurate in the sense, like from everything from the way Daredevil acts in this show, to the characters and everything, and just like the casting and everything, just on point. I think it's really good, really enjoyable. And then this leads to like the Charlie Cox casting, which I thought was perfectly casted. I mean, he does everything good. He looks the part and everything. I mean, what's really missing is probably like he has red hair in the comics, slash like a bit of orange hair. For the most part, that's what he has. But I mean, that's kind of you could kind of oversee that. It doesn't really matter about that. But I mean, other than that, like he's pretty comic accurate in terms of like he looks the role and everything. So yeah, I do definitely think he was really interesting in that show and stuff like that. Uh, yeah. Now let's talk a bit about his villains slash where he kind of fights and everything. His villains include basically he actually has a few shared villains, like for example Kingpin. He's kind of shared with other Marvel heroes in terms of them being the villain. But I would argue that he's probably the most to fight Kingpin in a sense. He's also has characters like Bullseye, which is like his arch nemesis in a sense. He's also got kind of Elektra in the sense that she kind of fights him, even though she's his girlfriend. But most of the time, it's like a Batman and Catwoman kind of situation in that sense, or like a Black Cat and Spider Man situation, where they do fight, but again, I mean they're on good terms and stuff like that. So yeah, uh, that happens. He's also like he's also good friends with the Punisher at times, and a lot of his stories conflict with Punisher and stuff like that, which is pretty interesting. In a sense, so that was pretty interesting. Again, he also like his teams include he's been on the Avengers and stuff like that, of course. And then he's also like a prominent member of the Defenders at the same time. He does team up with like Iron Fist and everything, but for the most part, in, like the comics, for example, he's mostly in the Avengers. But I mean, in other things, various medias, he's like one of the various members of the Defenders team. So that's pretty interesting, and that leads him to kind of fight the Hand sometimes too. So that's one thing too. But I mean, yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, I would rate this character easy 10 out of 10. Very good character. Highly recommend it to some people that enjoy darker themed comics and stuff like that. I definitely recommend Daredevil to you. I think Daredevil's a really cool character and everything. So, yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.